Hello and welcome to another Shady Raven video. Today I'm going to be profiling my Toon deck. If you watched my previous video, I showed you my Toon deck box that I made, and I said that I would eventually profile this. I've got the cards finally today, all of them, and managed to put this together. Just a little thing before I go into it, this is solely for casual play. You can do okay, I suppose, at little local tournaments. Haven't really tested it out there yet. I do intend to, and yeah, so don't think it'll win you any kind of regional thing. So I'll get on and do the deck profile. Okay, for starters, I play 3 Toon Dark Magician Girl. This is really your main attacker of the deck. It's very, very easy to get out. You need Toon World, obviously, for her to be summoned in the first place, but she can't be normal summoned. So you tribute as you would do for a normal tribute summon, but it counts as a special summon, which means that you can get 2 of her out, essentially, in one turn. She, unlike all the other toons, she can attack the turn that she is summoned. And she can attack directly. Obviously, if Toon World's there, Toon World's going to be out because you've just summoned her. So she deals 2,000 damage to your opponent. And I have managed to get 4,000 out in one turn just by having 2 of her, if they don't have any way to stop her. Secondly, I play 2 Toon Summoned Skulls. I might drop this down to 1 and then play another card instead. But it's almost exactly the same as Toon Dark Magician Girl, but this can't attack the turn, it's summoned, and you pay 500 to deal a little bit more damage. Not as consistent, so a maximum of 2 is ever required in a deck, I think. Thirdly, I play 1 Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. I might bump this up to 2 if I bump this down to 1. 3,000 damage, you pay 500 to attack, again can't attack the turn that's summoned, and it requires 2 tributes. So a little bit slower, but often this will stay on the field, which I prefer to Toon Summoned Skull, but I only have 1 at the moment, so 1's staying in here. I then play 3 Toon Mermaid. Why, you ask? This is a terrible, terrible card. It is pretty terrible. It only has 1,400 attack. It requires 500 to attack, and it can't attack the turn it's summoned. That's why I don't use it for attack. It's literally used just for tribute fodder for the 6 beaters that I have. Yeah, 6. Quite often, this can't be normal summoned, so you have to special summon it, which is perfect anyway, because all the others require special summons, so basically, when you have all the cards required in your hand, it's really scary for your opponent. I also play 3 Toon Gemini Elf. That's, again, used for tribute fodder, but also this isn't too bad at 1,900 attack. It doesn't require any tributes. Again, can't attack the turn it's summoned, so, and if he does actually deal damage, you get to discard a random card from your opponent's hand, which is quite nice. But often this doesn't stay on the field for the whole of your turn. So I also have another thing that I generally use for tribute fodder as well, 1 Toon Goblin Attack Force. It's occasionally used for attack. I often find it doesn't last the turn required to then get it back. So unless you can normal summon it and then special summon it from your graveyard again in your opponent's turn with Call the Haunted, this isn't ever going to attack because it's going to be destroyed, really, unless you're playing a deck that doesn't really have that very many powerful monsters, or it manages to stay there because your opponent can't summon things. So sometimes it stays, quite often it doesn't. And obviously it switches like the normal Goblin Attack Force to defense after it's attacked, or after it attacks. So that's not great, because then it's going to die the next turn. That rounds up the toons. I do have a few more monsters. I didn't really think that it was worth having any more toons than that. So I play one Morphing Jar, literally just for draw power. One Snowman Eater, just to destroy one of their monsters. Reese the Ice Mistress, this is a bit unusual. It's basically just used for stall. You set it in defence, it flips up, and often it's not destroyed. If you're playing a deck that uses level 4 or higher monsters, it's really, really annoying, because they often can't destroy it unless they have a card effect, or they boost the attack of one of their monsters. And 2 Card Guard. The Card Guard are for when it's summoned in any way, you get to put a guard counter on it, and then you can move that guard counter to any other card on the field. I choose the Toon World, and if that card would ever be destroyed, you destroy the counter instead. So, really, really nice effect. And speaking of Toon World, I play 3 Toon World. You can't really play the deck without it. You pay 1,000, it activates, it stays there, it allows you to play all the Toon cards. Bit irritating, I suppose. Some people do play this at 2. I think you need it at 3, because if you don't get it into your hand, or you have managed to lose them in the graveyard and you can't get them back, that's really bad, because you've just lost instantly. And because of the cost, I do actually play 2 Poison of the Old Man. This just gains you 1,200, and sometimes I use it for its other effect that you can inflict 800 to your opponent. It's quite nice, I suppose. I would play Seebeck's Blessing, but I haven't got that, and you know, it requires you having to attack, I suppose, whereas this can just, you know, I might side in a Seebeck, see where that gets me, but for the moment I'm just playing Poison. To continue spells, I play the Toon Search card, Toon Table of Contents. You need 3. You need 3 to search your Toon World and your Toon Dark Magician girl. This is what this is required, but you don't generally search anything else. Basically, it searches any Toon card, but generally you have about 6 targets for it in the deck, so you need all 3, or 6 decent targets that you want. Play 2 Soul Exchange. Why you skip your battle phase? I know, that's okay. Toons don't often need that battle phase, because when you summon them, you can't attack that turn anyway, so you may as well have a Soul Exchange and get rid of your opponent's monsters. Then I do play Staples, 2 MST. I would bump it up to 3, but there isn't space. Basically that's to try and protect your Toon World in some way and just sort of destroy supporting cards that your opponent has. And 1 Dark Hole, needs no explanation. 2 Swords of Revealing Light. This is just to stall your opponent so that your monsters don't get destroyed, so you can attack the next turn. 2 Scapegoat. Some people play 1, some people don't play any. I think 2 is quite nice. 3 is just excessive. If you're confused about how this works, leave a comment. But you are allowed to use the tokens gained by this to special summon. So to tribute for special summons. So you're allowed to tribute them off to get your Toon Dark Magician Girl, or your Blue Eyes, and your Toon Summoned Skull. Also, it's quite nice as defensive if you haven't got a sword or something. Often you activate this in your opponent's end phase, or their main phase too, and then you have those tokens ready for your next turn. And then I play 5 traps. Move those out of the way. 5 traps. 2 Call the Haunted. Would play 3. There just isn't space. Just gets back some of your toons that you've lost. 1 Fiendish Chain. Sometimes this is sided out if I'm playing a normal monster heavy deck. But I would play more, but there just isn't space. And then finally to Mirror Force. That's pretty much essential in this deck. You just need to destroy your opponent's monsters, because otherwise they will destroy you. Right, moving on to the side deck. I don't have an extra deck for this because it's quite an old archetype, and if I did, I'd just play lots and lots of standard rank 4s, rank 6s, and the odd level 6 and level 8 synchro, so you know those. So Stardust, I'd play Utopia, Cowboy, that sort of thing. Now bear in mind this is for casual play, so the side deck for this is a little bit what you wouldn't expect. Often we have cards that we ban, like Wabaku and whatnot, so we really do go overboard with banning. So we have one Toon Summoned Skull. I really wouldn't recommend that. Two's enough in the main. Bit pointless. One Kuriboh. It's quite nice. It just reduces and trap, but reduces your opponent's attack damage to you to 0 for one of their monsters. Deep Sea Diva. Just another tuner. Works quite well with Reese. It's really the only reason for that. Just didn't have any space in the main. Two Toon Master Sorcerers. It's just another draw card. If you're maybe playing a slightly slower game, you're maybe able to deal damage, and therefore you can get its effect off. But really, it's not very useful. One Toon Cannon Soldier. I really wouldn't recommend that. Unless, of course, the style of play you're going to play with your toons is tributing off monsters using its effect. Third MST, needs no explaining. A Soul Release, it's quite nice if you're playing a deck that uses the Graveyard as their second hand and they have no way to get any of those cards back from banishment. One Torrential would have gone in the main, just there's no space. A Compulse, same. Magic Jammer is quite good if your opponent's playing quite a lot of spell cards that could potentially destroy your Toon World, like MST. If they're playing 3, for instance, you might put that in as well. On Raigeki Break, just sort of destroys a card on the field. It's quite nice. Shadow Spell, I suppose a bit like a Fiendish Chain, but for all monsters generally, but doesn't negate effects. The second Fiendish Chain, and third, Call of the Haunted. Yeah, there was just no space, so that's why they're in there. So, I hope this has in some way enlightened you into how Toon decks work, and I hope you've enjoyed this profile. If you do have any questions about any of the cards or any of the combos I might use for this deck, please leave a comment as well. If you want to make a suggestion about how I could improve this deck, please do. I'm always open to suggestions, just try and construct it in a civilised way. That might be quite nice. And if of course you want to give me a deck profile and want me to profile it, I will do so, as long as you give me ways to understand how the deck works. If you have any suggestions for certain decks that I might like, I do like quite unusual decks, so please do suggest them, because I'm always wanting to find more. So yes, thank you, I hope to see you soon, and goodbye.